work?
We are.
We are.
Yes, Mataji. We are live.
We are live. This is certainly good news then. Okay, so let's see on my cell phone. Okay, good. So we will start the session from today with these brief prayers to the spiritual master. Om Ajnanatimarandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Welcome to our class today on this auspicious occasion of Vijaya Ekadashi. So we are going to read from the Bhagavad-gita. And which chapter are we doing in Bhagavad-gita?
4.3.
We are doing 4. And which verse are we going to do today?
3.
Verse number 3. Okay, very good. Okay, so let me start sharing my screen here. And we will look at chapter number 4, which is called Transcendental Knowledge. And just to do a quick recap, and that is that way back in chapter number 3, Arjun had asked that what is it that makes us impelled to go and perform sinful actions, even if you might not on the surface want to do those. And Krishna had said that it is
Lust only.
Last only.
lust only, Arjuna. Very good, right? And then he said that, that lust can be conquered, so sitting places. And how will you conquer this lust? You'll conquer this lust by getting transcendental knowledge. So in chapter number 4, that's very aptly termed as transcendental knowledge. And in the beginning, Krishna is telling us about the origins of Bhagavad-gita. And he's saying that, he first instructed this science to the sun god Vivaswan, who gave it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ishkavaku, his son, right? And Ishkavaku is the king of the planet. And then last week we talked about getting information through the disciplic succession. And so then he also said that this is how the saintly kings, right? Rajrishis understood that. But then in its course of time, this was lost. Right? This information was lost, right? And then today's verse will go on that how Krishna is going to reestablish that lost connection there with Bhagavad Gita. So today's verse is Sa evayam maya tedya yoga proktaha puratanaha bhaktosi me sakhacheti rahasyam he etat uttamam. Sa evayam maya tedya yoga proktaha puratanaha bhaktosi me sakhacheti rahasyam he etat uttamam. Sa evayam maya tedya yoga proktaha puratanaha Bhaktosi me sakhacheti rahasyam hi etaduttamam. And what does that mean? Let's have a look at that now. So Prabhupada translates that, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. That very ancient science of a relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So let's look at the purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are 2 classes of men, namely the devotee and the demon. How many classes of men are there?
2.
And what are they?
Devotee and demon.
And demon, okay. The Lord selected Arjuna as the recipient of this great science owing to his being a devotee of the Lord. But for the demon, it is not possible to understand this great mysterious science. There are a number of editions of this great book of knowledge. Some of them have commentaries by the devotees, and some of them have commentaries by demons. Commentation by the devotees is real, whereas that of the demons is useless. Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and any commentary on the Gita following on the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. The demonic, however, do not accept Lord Krishna as he is. Instead, they concoct something about Krishna and mislead general readers from the path of Krishna's instructions. Here is a warning about such misleading paths. One should try to follow the disciplic succession from Arjuna and thus be benefited by this great science of Srimad Bhagavad-gita. Hari Om. That's it. So Prabhupada said whatever he had to say, right? And warning us about not to fall into the trap of too many different kinds of varieties of Bhagavad-gita that abound. There are commentations by the demonic personalities. So this very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. Sa evayam mayatidya yoga proktaha puratanaha bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hi etad uttamam. So let's look at the synonyms, our favorite part of the day. Saha, the same. So same means that he must have talked about it earlier, right? So what does it mean? What is same that he's talking about? The same is coming from the supreme science that was mentioned in text 2. So he's saying the supreme science was thus received to the chain of disciplic succession. So that same supreme science, this instructed this imperishable science, right, of yoga, connecting to the Lord. So that science, he's saying that this very ancient science of the relation of Supreme Lord is told by me to you. So he's re-establishing the connection now here. So the same. Eva always is certainly, I am this, Maya, by me, te, unto you, adya, today, yoga, the science of yoga, proktaha, spoken, puratanaha, very old, bhaktaha, devotee, asi, you are, me, my, sakha, friend, ja, also, iti, therefore, rahasyam, mystery, he, certainly, etad, this, uttamam, transcendental. Okay. All right. So there are some key words used here in this particular verse. And what are some of the key words that struck you? Anything you remember from the synonyms?
Puratanaha.
Puratanaha. Okay. And what does Puratanaha mean?
Very old.
Very old. Okay, good.
Uttamam.
Uttamam. And Uttamam means?
Transcendental.
Transcendental. Okay. And then?
Yoga.
Yoga. Okay. And yoga means?
Science of yoga.
Okay.
Uktaha. Spoken.
Uktaha, spoken. Okay.
Rahasyam, mystery.
Rahasyam means mystery. Okay. Right. So some key words over here in this particular chapter. So sa evaya mayatedya yoga proktaha puratanaha bhakto sime sakacheti rasyam hi etat uttamam. And it is translated as that this very science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So very, very important, heavy chapter here, heavy verse in this chapter. And then let's go and look at it a little bit in details here. So we know that to overcome lust, we need transcendental knowledge. And Krishna is saying to Arjuna that, Arjuna, I am giving this information to you because, what are the two reasons he cites?
My devotee and my friend.
My friend.
He's a devotee and he's your friend. Okay. So, what is a friend to your conception? Who would you call a friend?
A well-wisher.
A well-wisher.
Whom we can rely on.
Reliable.
Who is very
Trust.
close to you.
whom you can trust. Vindhyavali, Mataji,
Is
what
very
will-
close to you.
you are close to. Okay, and what does it mean to be close to somebody?
It's
Confidential.
all this trusting and confidence, everything together. So
You trust them.
whoever has all this,
You share a lot of things with
share a lot of things.
You share a lot of things with them, right? What kinds of things do you share with your friend?
confidential things.
Confidential things, right? So one of the things that Krishna is saying to Arjuna, now, very interesting thing is that as we start in the first few verses of the Bhagavad-gita, the chapter 4, we talk about that Krishna is explaining this to the signs to Vivashvan, the sun god. Very, very powerful, right? And then then Vivashvan explained that to Manu, another powerful person, right? And he explained that to Ishkwaku, who is the king of this planet Earth, right? So very, very exalted personalities. And they were great devotees also, right? And they were saintly, as Krishna mentions there in the previous verse. So verses. So here's the thing that Krishna tells it to him. Tells the Bhagavad Gita to these three exalted, or at least he's recounting that he has spoken this Bhagavad Gita to these three exalted personalities, right? So we might just think that, for example, if we are a small school here, and let's talk about a mundane topic, right? If you're a small school, not much well known, and I want to invite a professor from Stanford to come to my school and give a lecture on some topic that he's famous for, there are very little chances that he's going to come to me, to my little school, right? Because they're big personalities, they do big things. They don't have time for small fish, so to speak, right? So when we read the first two verses of the Bhagavad Gita, it's huge. Sun god Vivashvan is huge.
Yeah.
How big is the sun?
Immeasurable.
Immeasurable.
It's a big, right? Science has measured it and it's huge,
Yeah.
right? Our Shastras also will give you the dimensions, but they're huge. They are unfathomable. Sizes are there. And then what is this sun god Vivashvan? He's controlling that planet. He's the sun god, right? So imagine what kind of personalities those are. And Krishna says that I told them the science of Bhagavad Gita. But here he's turning to Krishna, Arjuna, and he's saying that, don't get bogged down by those lofty statements, right? Don't think that you don't deserve to listen to the Bhagavad Gita. And he gives the two criteria. What are the two criteria?
Devotee and friend.
Devotee and a friend, right? And so let's look at devotee. What exactly is devotional service?
He surrenders to the person.
He surrenders to the person.
Whoever is devoted to.
And
Anything that
he's
you
a very, and when you say that, they are very devoted parents. So do they surrender to the children?
Mm.
No.
No.
Whatever you do, you keep Krishna in the center. That is devotional service.
Mm-hmm. You're coming close.
Again, you trust and depend on him. He
You trust and
knows.
depend on him.
Yeah. Faith.
Yeah. So we depend on Krishna. So when we are saying that we are depending on Krishna, so as you go deeper and deeper into devotional service, the mood changes as we progress in devotional service. So there are 4 reasons like people will pray to a Lord. First is out of fear. He's a big personality. He can make the mountains move. I don't want a mountain falling on me, so I'll pray, right? Some people will pray to him out of duty. They think it's my duty. He has made all these nice, beautiful things, so it's my duty to pray to him. Like that, right? And then they want something, so they will pray to him. And the 4th and the best reason is that they love him. And that's why they do devotional service to the Lord. Right? So Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Bhakti Rasamrita, it's a very interesting thing. Bhakti, Bhakti, devotional service to the Lord. Rasa, Rasamrit,
Taste.
right?
Nectar.
Rasa is a taste. You're getting the taste. Rasa, you're getting, right? And Sindhu is Amrit is,
Honey.
what is Amrit?
Honey. Or
Nectar.
nectar
Honey.
or honey.
Whatever it is.
Sweet.
Yeah, but when we say something is Amrit, what does it mean?
Sweet. Sweet.
Mhm.
Mm.
And in the context of time, Amrit is, it doesn't perish, right?
Yeah.
When you drink Amrit, then you become, you won't die, right? That's what they say. So Amrit, right? So Bhakti Ras Amrit. So here's the interesting thing, that in the material world, there is two rasas which are very prominent in the material world. There is bhoga and there is tyaga. So bhoga is you try to enjoy the material nature, material world. And then as you are trying to enjoy the material world, you do not get joy out of it, or the joy that you get out of it is transient. It's short in nature. So then what do? You drop it and try to find something better, right? So the day one, you eat tur dal with some nice ghee choka, very nice. Second day, very nice. Third day, very nice. Fourth, fifth, sixth, after 2 months of eating tur dal, you're like, oh no, I want to go and try something else. So there is tyaga. Then you drop tur dal and you go for some other thing. And why? Because this sukh that we get, this happiness that you get in this material world is short-lived, right? And we will not like anything which is short-lived. And why is it like that? Why do we not like?
So you want to enjoy it more and more.
You want to enjoy it more? And why do I want more? What is the basic reason that I don't like transient things?
Because basically we are eternal souls.
Because we are eternal souls. Very right, for 500 points, right? So because we are eternal souls, because we are eternal by nature, right? So the moments we have, like for example, we form a friendship, we'll say friends forever. Like why is this forever always coming there? Because we are by nature, eternal. So we like eternality. So when the joy is not coming, then we try to find eternal happiness in material thing, not going to get it because material nature is not like that. So you don't get it. So there'll be bhoga and then there'll be tyaga. Bhoga and tyaga. So now you have to find something which is eternal, right? Which is going to give you eternal rasa, right? So one can say that, oh, well, I enjoy a cool breeze. So I'm going to buy a house in Miami Beach or buy a house in Hawaii and I'm going to get cool breeze throughout the year, right? So I'm getting eternal happiness. But these happiness also end with death. So it is not eternal. The happiness has to stop. Okay. And then the next life, we don't know whether we'll be in Miami or not. So we're looking for something which is eternal, which is happy, which is everlasting. And so that rasa, we want to get that rasa. And that rasa that you get, that enjoyment that you get, comes only from one thing, and that is bhakti. So the rasa that you get from bhakti is eternal. So that's why they say bhakti rasamrit. So rasa amrit. Because even after we die, right? And then Arjuna asked that question in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, that what happens? What happens to a person, unsuccessful transcendentalist who started some work and did not complete his mission and did not go back to, is not at a level to be able to go back to Godhead after death, after leaving the body. So then Krishna talks about two types of people that are there, right? One at a higher level, they will be born in families where all these devotional activities are carried out by default, right? Or they will do it by themselves. Nobody has to teach it. Like Prahlad Maharaj was born in the family of demons, but still he continued his devotional service. So very exalted souls might do that. Or if you're not that exalted, then you'll be born in rich aristocratic families, where you don't have to spend your time trying to figure out where I'm going to get my next 2 chapatis from, right? So you have free time, less labor, intense labor in your life. So you dedicate your time to Krishna consciousness, right? So devotional service continues beyond life, beyond the current life. It will go on to the next life. That is what makes it Amrit. And the beauty of that is that even when your life in this material planet ends, right, it's the end for our material existence, then even when you go back to Godhead, what do you do? In Golaka Vrindavan, what are you going to do?
We'll serve lotus feet.
Right, you'll continue your devotional service.
service.
So that is what makes the devotional service Amrit, or it is eternal. So Bhakti Rasamrit. And Sindhu, Sindhu means ocean. So it's not a small thing. It's not like a little cup of ice cream that you had and, you know, paid $3 for it and now you want more. Don't have $3 in your pocket like that. No, it's an ocean. It's an ocean of, you know, nectar. So Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So how are you going to get that bhakti? Like I said, people will be connected to God because of fear, because of want, because of sense of duty. But the best that you get is when you are related, when your devotional service to Krishna is Anya Abhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam Anukulyena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktir Uttama. So transcendental devotional service is when you are doing devotional service to the Lord without any ulterior motives. Without any ulterior motives. Nothing, there's no I in it. Right? So for the reasons that people do devotional service to the Lord, fear, or they're wanting something, there's a big I over there. I want something. I'm afraid of something. I want your protection. Like that, right? But as these levels of devotional service increase, then people reach that situation or that level of consciousness where they're not even saying that I am surrendered into you or because you're going to protect me. They don't even bother about that protection, right? As Shikshamrita last verse says, that it doesn't matter what you do to me, right? When Prabhupada was coming to USA, he said, make me dance, make me dance, make me dance, right? You make me do whatever. So that's the ultimate of, you know, our relationship with the Lord. And so bhakti, number one, is eternal. Anya Vilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. So there is no jnana. I'm not trying to understand the Lord. I'm not trying to, you know, get as much of information about the Lord and understand him, because he cannot be understood. And especially through our material mental faculty, we cannot understand the Lord. Right? So Jnana Karmadi. Also, there should not be any Karmakandi activities. Karmakandi activities are that when I'm doing devotional service to the Lord, but I'm expecting some material results out of it. That is known as a Karmakandi activities. For example, a king might perform sacrifices for Vishnu. So there's a big yajna for Vishnu going on. But what does he want? He wants rains, right? In his kingdom. It's a Karmakandi activity. So Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. It is devoid of Jnana and karmic activities, Karmakandi activities. And what it is Anya Abhilashita Shunyam. Shun means zero. So Anya Abhilashita. Anya, there is no desire other than to please the Lord. And any other desires? Zero. There's no other desires in devotional service. The only desire is to, how can I make Krishna happy? And that's why I'm doing this, because it's going to make Krishna happy. I'm chanting it because it makes Krishna happy. I'm teaching Bhagavad-gita because it makes Krishna happy. I'm listening to Bhagavad-gita because it makes Krishna happy. Anya Bhlashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam Anukulyena Krishnanu. Anukulyena. Anukulyena means that it has got to be favorable to Krishna. Right? So when we talk about doing devotional service to Krishna or doing something to Krishna, and devotional service can be done in many, many ways, right? And one of the ways is to constantly think about Krishna. One of the ways is to constantly wait for his arrival, right? This is all devotional service. These are mellows, right? So when Krishna was going to advent in this material world, people knew about it because, people means demigods and all the exalted beings. They knew about it. Why? Because they were the ones who had gone to Brahma and saying that, this is becoming too heavy. The burden is very, very heavy. And actually, Mother Earth had complained and said, too many sinful people walking on my body. So, so when we walk on Mother Earth, we have to remember that, that depending on the kind of personality we are, Mother Earth is going to feel good or bad. So that is why when we get up in the morning, when we get out of our bed, we pray to the Lord, pray to Mother Earth to say that, I am touching you with my feet, so please forgive me, because during the day I might do some sinful activities. So in the beginning itself, we do that prayer, right? Samudra Vasane Devi Parvatstan, like that.
Parvatasan Mandale.
Mandalam, right? Vishnu Patni Namastamyam Padaspasha Samashvame, right? So when a lot of sinful people walk on Mother Earth, then she feels bad. So she had gone to Brahma and she had said that, I cannot bear this burden, so do something about it. And Brahma goes to Vishnu on Shraddha-devi, and Vishnu says, okay, I'm going to incarnate. So they knew that Krishna was going to incarnate. And of course, so when Devaki and Vasudeva were imprisoned because of that Akashvani that had happened at the time of Devaki's marriage, so people were waiting for the 8th child of Devaki to be born, because they knew it will be Lord Krishna. So a lot of people were waiting. They were anticipating his arrival. Is that devotional service? Yes. Because they were thinking about Krishna, they love Krishna, they're waiting for him, right? And then later on, when he was, but in addition to that, there were others also who were waiting for his arrival. Can you tell me who else was waiting very desperately for his arrival? Kamsa, very right? The Kamsa was also available there. And Kamsa was awaiting Krishna, waiting for his birth, thinking about him all the time. Is that devotional service?
Directly, yes.
No,
Not in the
right way, Mataji. Because the intention.
Not in the right way. Yes, Tandra Pranams Mataji. Yes, not in the right way. Why? Because Anukuliyena Krishnanu. It has to be favorable to Krishna. And here we are thinking about Krishna all the time. So that, let him come, little boy, I'm going to kill him. Right? So that is not proper bhakti. So when you're talking about pure devotional service, Anya Bhlashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadinavritam Anukuliyena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktir Uttama. Shilanam. Okay. So let's look at a verse. I might have that verse. No, I don't have. Let me see. It's from Bhagavad-gita. So in Bhagavad-gita, Arjuna spoke for a large part, a long time. In which chapter?
Second chapter.
Second
Arjuna.
chapter.
Chapter 1.
Chapter 1. Right. In chapter 1, Arjuna speaks for a long time, right? In chapter 1, actually, Krishna doesn't speak at all.
Yeah.
Right? Krishna speaks half a shloka, right? Uvacha partha paschyatam samyetan kuruniti. So he said, but then it is not said there, Uvach partha paschyatam. So there, Sanjay is saying that Krishna said. It is not directly like Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. It's not like that, right? So in first chapter. So then, and then second chapter, then immediately he starts, scolding Arjuna. And Krita swakashmalam idam vishame samupasthitam, right? So he starts scolding him. But then Arjuna again is saying that, Katham bhishmam aham sankhe donam cha madhusudana. How can I fight these men in battle? These are my teachers. If I kill them, my hands are going to be tainted with blood and so on and so forth, right? So it's better I just, live by begging, and I do not know what is better, to be conquered or not to be conquered. And then he says, okay, I'm a soul surrendered to you. Please instruct me. Karmanya doshopahat sabhava, that one, right? And then, but he's saying that, I'm talking to you. I'm telling him, asking you to instruct me, Krishna. It was Arjuna who had asked that question. And so now, subsequently in chapter 4, Krishna is instructing him, right? Continuing to instruct him, right? So he's saying that, all this is fine, but, how will I, overcome this grief? How can I overcome this grief? That is, of killing my gurus, my relatives, uncles, brothers, cousins. How can I do that, right? So he's overcome his grief, and then what does he do?
Krishna tells they're already gone.
So Sanjay Vacha, Evam uktva Hrishikesham Gudakesha Parantapa Na Yotsyas Iti Govinda Uktam Tushni Babhuvaha. So what happened? Sanjay said, having spoken thus, all those things he spoke, and then having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. Okay. So if we go back to verse number 1, chapter number 1, and go to the very last verse of chapter number 1, where we see Sanjay said, Arjuna, having spoken thus on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. So he has sat down, right? And then spoken some more in chapter 2. And then in the end, he has, having spoken thus, he speaks thus, the chastiser of enemy, told Krishna, he's the chastiser of enemies, right? So he's going to kill his enemies with his bow. But what is he doing with his bow and arrow?
He put it down.
He
Bury
put
them
them
aside.
down, right? And Govinda, what is he saying? I shall not
I
fight.
shall not fight.
And then he fell silent. Now, this is a very interesting observation, right? Here. So he is saying, I will not do anything. And well, he can think, right, that all the reasons that he's giving for not fighting are, religious regions, right? Every religion tells you not to kill, not to do this, not to do that, right? So he can be thinking that I am a devotee of the Lord, right? That is why I am not doing everything. And that is why he said, I shall not fight. So not fighting for a Kshatriya is not doing any work. But devotional service means doing some work. You have to do work for Krishna. You cannot sit down and just say that, I'm just going to read some books for myself and that's it. Okay, if you're reading books, that's good. But then tell about the contents of these books to others. Right? You have to do something. So this Arjuna, who in the beginning, in the second chapter is, first chapter, set aside his bow and arrow. Second chapter, he's declared, I'm not going to fight. So what else are you going to do? Here, you are in the battlefield. What have you come here for? Right? The same Arjuna, if we go to chapter number 18 of Bhagavad-gita, and we go to verse number 73, right? So he says, Arjuna vacha nashtamoha smritir labdha tvat prasadan mayachyuta sitosmi gata sandehaha karishye vachanam tava. So here said, my dear Krishna, oh infallible one, my illusion is now gone. So after, 16 chapters, I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt, and I am prepared to act according to your instructions. Karishye. So he's saying, Karishye, I shall execute. Whereas in the previous verses, he was saying, I shall not fight. So the same Arjuna. So now this is devotional service. When you are doing things which are favorable to Krishna and whatever Krishna wants, and you have to do something. Karishye vachanam tava, right? So he's doing it now. So if you go back to the verse from here today, the Krishna is saying that I am going to tell you because you are my devotee, right? So a devotee is one who will do it. So Krishna already knows that Arjuna is his devotee. But then more important than that, he's saying that you are my friend. So this is what happens when you have friends. So you're listed, who is a friend and what are the things that, you do to a friend or the friend does to you. But if I were to, like, for example, suppose a big shot is coming. President of United States is visiting here, my city, okay? And he's going to give a lecture in the city hall. And I want to have the front row so that I can be close, right, to this big shot. Now, those rows are not reserved for common people like me. The other big shots are going to come and occupy the front row. So how do I get there, right? Now, if I know the person who's organizing, if I am a friend of that person might be able to wiggle and juggle and get me a place in the front row. So when you are friends, then rules are thrown away. Special favors are granted to you because you're friend. So same thing here, Krishna is telling Arjuna that you are my friend, right? It's a very interesting thing. You are my devotee as well as you are my friend, right? So let's look at Bhagavatam. This will be, 25, 23, 25. Okay, so let's see. And this is from the famous 7th canto, 5th chapter, where Prahlad Maharaj is talking, right? He's giving instructions and spiritual katha he's doing. So Shri Prahlad Uvacha, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnuhu Smaranam Padasevanam Arjanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atma Nivedanam Iti Pumsa Prita Vishnu Bhaktischena Navalakshana Kriyate Bhagavatyadha Tanmanye Dhitamuttamam. So here he's talking about the 9 processes of devotional, 9 ways in which one can do devotional service. Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Vishnu, remembering him, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord as one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him, Atma Nivedanam. In other words, serving him with the body, mind, and verse. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service, right? So which one Arjun applies to Arjun?
He's Shravanam.
Dasya.
Sakyam.
Sakyam, exactly. Sakyam, because he's considering the Lord as one's best friend.
Best friend.
Okay, so there he's saying that he's a devotee as well as he's my friend, right? So he does devotional service to Krishna as a friend, right? So Krishna can be your friend. Now, in chapter number 2, he has said Karpanya Doshopahat Sabhava, Siksha, right? Ham tam prapadya. So he said that, I am your devotee, right? And I am your Shishyasteham Shadi Mam Tam Prapannam. So I am your student, and I am a soul fully surrendered unto you. So he's a student. So this means if Arjuna is the student, then who is Krishna?
He's the Lord.
If Arjuna is the student, he's the teacher, he's the guru.
Master. Guru.
He's the guru, right? So Krishna as the guru is explaining things. So now one night I wanted to clarify one thing over here, that if we are trying to deduce information from what we have read in the previous verses, we say that, okay, Arjuna was said that, Shishyasteham Shadi Mamtam Bhupannam, that I am your student and you are my teacher. And now here teacher is saying, oh, because you are my devotee and also my friend, I'm going to give you this information of Bhagavad-gita. So I can also be friendly to my guru, right? So you're deducing from him, you're seeing it in front of your eyes, right? So I wanted to warn you, that's not the case, right? Guru, tadviddi paripatnena pariprashnena sevaya updeshyanti te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshana. And so now we have also got to remember that Krishna is explaining things to him. And as we continue through the various chapters, in which chapter does Krishna show him the universal form?
11th.
Chapter 11, very good, for 500 points, right? So let's go to chapter number 11, where Krishna, after teaching him Dhyan Yoga, right, and opulences of the absolute, right, all that, he's told him, right, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, right, 2 times, He told him all that. And now in the 11th chapter, he's going to show him the universal form of the Lord. So we know universal form of the Lord. It was described. I'm not going to describe the form over here, but I just want to take you to a particular verse here. If I remember the verse number here.
He feels that you are my friend, and
Yeah. There you
how
go.
come we lived, we slept together and ate together.
Exactly. Sakheti matva prasadam yaduktam he Krishna he Yadava he Sakheti ajanata mahimanam tavedam maya pramada pranayena vapi yachavaha sartham asatkritosi vihara sanyasana bhojaneshu eko tavapya achuta tat samaksham tat kshamaye tvam aham aprameyam. So he says that thinking of you as my friend, I have rashly addressed you as, O Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend, not knowing your glories. Please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times, jesting as we relaxed, lay on the same bed, or sat or ate together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of my many friends. O infallible one, please excuse me for all those offenses. Right? So we have to keep this thing in our mind that, you know, don't take it easy on your spiritual master. So now here Krishna is saying that, go ahead, Varshana Mataji.
No, Mataji, I was saying yes, because you had once told in your lecture that a guru is like fire. So you should not go too close to him because you will get burned. Because you see, sometimes what happens is when you are considering him as a friend, you become too close and you may use some language which is not honorable or which is not appropriate. So that may harm you. So that is why I remembered those words, and that is why
Right. Because Guru is like fire, and fire gives you heat and light, right? So there's warmth that comes to you from your spiritual master, and then light is the knowledge that you get from your spiritual master. However, don't come too close because you can get burns, and also don't go too far away so that you don't get the warmth also, right? Both of them are important for us. So now he's saying that I am, so, you know, and here's the interesting thing, like with a friend, right? With a friend. So I have noticed this in corporate America, that you are sitting outside the room of the general manager or vice president, and there's a line outside. A lot of people have to go there and get his approval or whatever. So they're all waiting outside, and Mr. Smith is inside, or Mr. whatever. And everybody's waiting, and we are thinking, you know, what's going on? And Mr. Smith is talking to his wife on the phone inside his room. So, and why? Because he's more close to the wife. He's more friendly to the wife than to all the people who are sitting outside. So when you are friends, then people will go out of their way to do things. They'll go out of their way to give you time. Right in the bang in the middle of the day, right? You have a wife, you should be talking to her after 5 o'clock, bang in the middle of the day. If the wife calls and says, hey, you know, on the way back, bring some oranges, you're going to note it down. It doesn't matter who you are. So similarly, here you see, if you remember in the first chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Singanadam vinadyoche shankam tadbhav pratak, right? So everybody had, you know, had blown their conch shell, including Arjuna and Krishna, which means that the war had begun. And I had told you last time that, you know, these were Kshatriyas. They had not even slept the whole night because they were so full of, we want to fight the war. And there's elephants, there's horses, you know, the chariots, all that is going on there, right? And Arjuna says, Krishna says, all right, we'll take 45-minute break from the war. I'm going to tell you the Bhagavad-gita first, right? So he will do that. Why? Because he's the friend, right? And this very ancient sign of relationship with the Supreme is told to me by you because you are my devotee as well as a friend and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this sign. Now, this is very, very important thing to understand, that this is something which is transcendental. And I keep on telling every time, and I'm going to tell one more time, and we'll read it one more time because this is so nectarian things that Prabhupada has put there about getting information. So here in the Veda base, I'm going to go to Ishopanishad, right? And Ishopanishad, the very first chapter, which is introduction. In Ishopanishad, Krishna, Prabhupada talks about, how you can get knowledge, right? So, okay, where are we? Yeah, here. That we said that earlier we were talking, previous lectures was that, how do you gather knowledge? We have got knowledge gathering senses, Jnanendriya, right? Eyes will tell you about the form of something or the color of something. The nose will tell you this order of something. The ears can tell you about the sound of something, right? So on. So by these knowledge acquiring senses, like, just by hearing the sound of a train, you can tell whether the train is close to you or whether it's far away, right? And so these are knowledge acquiring senses. We all acquire knowledge, but we also found that these are imperfect senses, right? These are not perfect senses that we have. So, but we are trying to get some knowledge through our imperfect senses. So we are saying that don't do that, right? So trying to get knowledge, now Prabhupada tells, how many ways that you can do that, right? So there is that, okay, so you say, John is very fat. Okay, give me evidence. John is very fat. Oh, I saw from my own eyes. Okay. Or it is raining. Give me evidence. I saw from my own eyes. Like that, right? So you can, they will always ask you for evidence, right? When you're saying, give proof. So there are three kinds of evidence Prabhupada talks about here. There is Pratyaksh, Anuman, and Shabda. Pratyaksh means direct evidence. It's bang in front of you. You are seeing it with your own eyes. But then he's saying that direct evidence is not very good because our senses are not perfect. We are seeing the sun daily, and it appears to us just like a small disk, but it is actually far, far larger than many planets. Of what value is this seeing? Right? You're seeing the sun. Therefore, we have to read books, then we can understand about the sun. So direct experience is not perfect. Then there is Anuman, which is inductive knowledge. It may be like this hypothesis. So I'm just making some guesses, Anuman, right? Some calculations I'm doing and telling you that. For example, if you see smoke, you might say that there is fire, right? Like that. So for instance, Darwin's theory says it may be like this, it may be like that. So there's a word maybe. So when you're using word maybe, the purpose thing is not science, it's not pure science. That is just a suggestion, and it is also not perfect. But if you receive the knowledge from the authoritative sources, then that is perfect. For example, if you receive a program guide from the radio station authorities, you accept it, right? Right? I mean, I remember when I was growing up, there used to be Reuters, the news services. The CNN came much later. And so whenever there would be something like, Shastri is dead or Nehru is dead. So somebody comes and tell you, hey, Nehru is dead. You went to grocery shopping and the grocer told you Nehru is dead. Now you don't believe, right? You come back, oh, let me tune to Reuters. Or let me listen to BBC. Why? Why do you believe them? Because they are authoritative sources. So getting knowledge or evidence from a authoritative source is known as Shabda, right? So evidence is Praman. So Shabda Pranam is the highest method. So Vedic knowledge is called Shabda Pranam. Another name is Shruti. Shruti means that this knowledge has to be received simply by oral reception. The Vedas instruct that in order to understand transcendental knowledge, we have to hear from the authority. Transcendental knowledge is known from beyond this universe. Within this universe is material knowledge, and beyond this universe is transcendental knowledge, the topic of chapter number 4 of Bhagavad-gita, right? We cannot even go to the end of this universe. So how can we go to the spiritual world? Thus, to acquire full knowledge is impossible. Okay, so a very interesting thing I'd like to share here with you about knowledge and half-baked knowledge. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is this story of Ajamila. So Ajamila was a Brahmin. Nice. He was from Ujjain, a place called Ujjain in Uttar Pradesh. And Ajamila was married to a very high caste girl from a high caste Brahmin family. And they were, devotees of the Lord. He was also a devotee of the Lord. He would perform devotional service. And then one day he goes to the forest to collect some firewood. And there in the forest, he sees a young man. He was a low caste young man. And he was there with a prostitute. And they were singing and dancing and, all kinds of stuff. So he sees that and he gets affected by it. He comes back home and he's not able to drive away the thoughts of the prostitute from his head, right? So now this lusty desires are forming in his head. And where does lust reside? Where are the three places where the lust resides?
Senses,
Mm-hmm.
mind,
Mind.
And the
Intelligence.
intelligence, exactly, right? So here, the first place that we see lust residing were in his eyes, right? So he sees that,
Senses, yeah.
right? In the senses, okay? And then he comes back home and he's not able to drive away the thoughts of that woman. Where is the lust now?
Mind.
Is in the mind, right? And then he goes and hires her as a maidservant. From where did this come?
intelligence.
Intelligence.
Right? Now he's trying to find out way, like, rake my brain. Let me see, how can I see her more often? Oh, let's hire her as a maidservant. He hires her as the maidservant, right? And then, of course, he starts to pay more attention to the maidservant, gets rid of the wife, and then the maidservant starts having children with the maidservant, and then this maidservant is a prostitute, so they are used to luxurious life because of the money people give them, right? So now he has to earn all that money. Now Brahmanas don't do that. Yajan, patan, patan, dan. They survive on dan that people give. And now this prostitute won't be happy with what dan you get. She won't be happy with, like, okay, I'm giving you 4 square meals a day. Be happy. Why do you need jewelry? Why do you need jewelry? Right? So how else to earn money? So he started stealing, robbery, even killing people. He did all that to please his wife. And he was like in his 80s and he had 10 children by this wife, right? And the last one, now this is where samskaras kick in. The last one he named as Narayan. And so he was very close to Narayan all the time. He'd be like, Narayan, come here. Narayan, do this. Narayan, do that. Narayan, I'm eating something. Come, let's have food. Narayan, I'm drinking fruit juice. Come have some, like that. He would do all that all the time to Narayan. So all the time he was reciting Narayan, Narayan. But anyway, but he was a lusty man and had led a bad life. So one day he sees he's sleeping and suddenly he's woken up and he sees Yamdutas are standing in front of him. So they are horribly looking people and they have got ropes in their hands and they have come to take away the soul. And so he gets scared and he out of fear, he calls out to his son, Narayan, Narayan. He was not calling God. He called out Narayan, Narayan. And as soon as he calls Narayan, Narayan, the Vishnu Dutas come. And so the Vishnu Dutas come. The Vishnu Dutas are more powerful than the Yamdutas. So the Vishnu Dutas tell them that, hey, you cannot, take him away. So the Vishnu Dutas say, Yamdutas say that, why can we not take him away? He has done bad things and he has not atoned for his sinful activities. So therefore, we are going to take him away. And then the Yamdutas, are baffled. And then they ask that, what is the reason? Why do you think we should give him to you or not take him away with us? Because he's a sinful man. He deserves to be punished and we have come here to punish him. And so then the Vishnu Dutas tell him that, he has chanted the name of the Lord purely while he was calling out the name of the Lord without offenses. He was doing it just like that. So the essence of that particular chapter is more to tell you the power of the holy name of the Lord, power of the holy name of the Lord. So we should not just think, hearing from Ajamil's story, that, oh, fine, well, I can also do that. And in the end, I will just say Narayan, I'll name my dog Narayan, and then, I'll call it my dog. No, we don't have to forget this fact that Ajamila originally was a devotee. And he had just, from lusty desire, he had fallen. And Krishna says, Kaunteya prati janehi name bhaktya pranashyati. So he will take care of his devotees, like that. So his devotee just called out Narayan, and the Yamdutas came there, right? So when this happens, the Yamdutas are very, very disheartened. So they don't allow him to take. So they go back to, where else will they go? They go back to their master, to Yamaraj. And then they go and say, Yamaraj, what is going on here? We were defeated for the first time. Every time that we have gone to bring a soul with us, to be punished, we have been successful. But who are these people? They were looking very beautiful. They had 4 hands and all that. And how come we were scared of this? And so Yamaraj is very, very happy, because Yamdutas have asked him that question. Because we have to remember, Yamaraj is also a devotee of the Lord, right? And Yamaraj has got this duty to punish the souls so that they come to fall in line, right? But when he's carrying out his duties, in Canto 5, and the last chapter, I think it's chapter 30 or 29, I'm forgetting, is a description of the hellish planets, or 26, I think, description of the hellish planets. And so there are, places where you'll be put into a floor which is made of copper, and it's being heated from below, and the soul has to suffer. They'll be given a suitable body to suffer. So all the time, Yamaraj has to manage the affairs. He's like the general manager of the hellish planet. So what are these Yamdutas going to come and tell him, right? Aaj bhatti nahi jal rahi hai. Today there's no electricity to heat the copper. Copper is melting. Whatever, ropes are worn out. Those kind of things they're going to do. Now, for the first time, Yamaraj says that, oh, I've got an opportunity to talk about Krishna. And this is what Matkrita Madgata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Kathayantascha Mam Nityam Tushyanti Charamanti Cha. In the Chatra Shloki Bhagavad-gita, you hear that, right? That devotees like to talk about Krishna. And so now Yamaraj gets this very nice opportunity to do some Krishna Katha, right? And so he does that in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And there's one thing that I just wanted to bring to your light from there. And so let me bring up this one, which, by the way, this chapter is called, the whole section is called Prescribed Duties for Mankind. And the chapter that I'm bringing up here is a chapter on, Yamaraja's instructions to his messengers, right? And so he tells them about, Sanatan Dharma and things like that. And here, this is a very important thing that we need to keep in mind. And how do I share my screen here with you? So here. So he's telling, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, Ajamil had met 4 order carriers of Lord Vishnu. They were very beautiful. They came to rescue him, right? And all that stuff, right? So all that happens. And then he's saying, Yamaraj continued, the essence of Sanatan Dharma, or eternal religion, is extremely confidential. What was the word for confidential that we read today in our verse from today?
Uttamam. No, I'm sorry. No.
Rahasyam,
exactly, right? Rahasyam. So he's saying it's extremely confidential. No one but the Lord himself can deliver that confidential religious system to human society. It is by the mercy of the Lord that transcendental system religion can be understood by his pure devotees, and specifically by the 12 Mahajans, Lord Brahma, Narad Muni. 12 Mahajans are listed here. Other learned scholars, head by Janani, are almost always covered by illusionary energy, and therefore they are more or less attracted by the fiery language of Vedas. But the main point over here is that no one but the Lord himself can deliver that confidential religious system to human society. And that is what Krishna is telling Arjuna over here, that because you are my devotee as well, my friend, I am going to tell you this. And what is the criteria for being able to understand this transcendental mystery? And Krishna says that even in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad-gita. So here he's saying that this understands this mystery. Prabhupada is using the word mystery over here, right? And so he's here he's talking about that this is mysteries, which means a confidential piece of information, right? And then as he progresses, through the chapters, he shows him the universal form of the Lord, which is also a mystery, right? And then he, prior to that, in the 9th chapter, he says, Idam te guhyatamam pravakshami anasuyave jnana vijnana sahitam yaj gyatva moksha sabha. So he's also telling him that this is guhyatamam, this is confidential knowledge that I'm imparting to you. So Arjuna, being his devotee, right, first, and then in the mood of a friend, has gained that adhikar to be able to get this knowledge from Krishna. And then here it comes, Krishna is saying that very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme. This is also very important, right? Am I sharing my screen with you? Yeah, I'm doing that, right?
Yes.
So that very ancient science. Now there is something about ancient, right? I mean, nowadays I see it a lot. Especially in the food industry, where people are becoming health conscious, and obviously from overindulging and eating mercilessly without any stoppage. Obesity is hit. It's a big problem in the world nowadays. And then, so people are now becoming health conscious. How do I now get off all these pounds that I put on? And so you will see food industry people advertising, oh, this is an ancient grain from South America, quinoa, very good for health. You should have that, right? So there's something about ancient, that when things are old, right, there is some mysticism about it. There is ancient science. So what also Krishna is saying when he's using the word ancient is that, number one, that it has been there forever, and we know how ancient it is. At least we know it is as ancient as Krishna telling it to sun god Vivashwan, right? Many, many millions of years ago. So it is ancient, right? And also, this is also something that we try this out in our real lives, but in a different way. For example, a boy comes home and tells his mother that I met this girl, I want to marry her. Or a girl comes and says, I met this cute guy and I'm thinking of spending the rest of my life with him. And then so here the parents will say, well, just try it out. You just met him today. You can't make a decision based on that. Wait and watch. So wait implies time. So wait and watch. And if the behavior, the relationship, the feelings are still going to stay after 1 week, after 2 weeks, after 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, then maybe you can settle down with this person, right? So there's something, the concept of time tested. It has been tested with time. And it's very, very important that, the time, you have to do the time test. For example, and we might not be the people to do the time test all the time, right? For example, I heard that man is immortal. Man is immortal, right? I heard it. That man is mortal, sorry. Man is mortal, I heard that, right? So why? My grandfather told me that. Okay, so now I want to prove it, right? I want to prove that, evidence. So I start looking around me. After some time, grandma dies. After some time, grandfather dies. Friends' grandfathers die. Parents die. Their parents die. So you're just saying, like, everywhere I'm seeing birds are dying. This one is dying. That one is dying. So I will conclude that man is mortal. And guess what? I also die. And then the next day, somebody's born who's never going to die. So, our theories are, just based on our faculties. So we should not rely on that. We should rely on whatever is being tested by time is going to be true forever. And so to know that something is true forever, you also have to be there forever to test it out, right? And since that doesn't happen with us, so we have to rely on whatever is being given by Krishna. Again, there's something about ancient things also, like people like to collect things, right? The older, like if I say, oh, this is a piece of flint that came from Indus Valley civilization, people will be willing, rich people will be willing to give millions of dollars so that they can put that in their living room, in their drawing room, right? I mean, there was the famous, auction of Leonardo da Vinci's painting. I think that holds the world record. The person said $200,000 for that. And it sold. And by the time he settled and paid all the money for that, it was, some 250 that he had to pay. So when things are ancient and they are time tested, the value goes up. And that is why Arjuna, in all his wisdom, was saying that. In the first chapter of Bhagavad-gita, when he was saying, Kulakshay, right? Dharmanasham. So if the grandfathers are going to go away, then all this information, good information, is going to die. Why? Because they have tested all that in their lives, right? They have tested that in their life. For example, young blood, a daughter might say that, you get married, you go to a home, and if the husband doesn't, do things to your liking, you can fight and you can file for a divorce. You can do that. Young blood will say that, right? But the mother might tell the daughter not to do it. Why? Because she has seen it. She has lived it in life. She has seen others who are divorced. What happens, right? For small things like this, she might teach him to tolerate. And she has seen in her own life that she tolerated, and after 10 years of marriage, everything became fine. Like that, right? So time-tested wisdom is very, very valuable. And Krishna is saying that this ancient science of God, is now being told to me, by me to you, right? So I'm just looking at the verse here to see, is there anything else? So key words that we heard from this particular verse again was, right? That Puratanaha is old, Rahasyam is mystery, Uttamam, transcendental, and Bhakta, that he is his, right? So Rahasyam, again, Rahasyam, I had asked you what is relationship, or what is the description of a friend? And you said, a friend, you tell them everything. You tell them secrets, the friend. So that is what Krishna is going to do. He's going to tell this secret. And why is it a secret? Why does this remain as a secret? Bhagavad-gita is there on the internet. Why does it remain a secret? The reason is that people are not bhaktas. The moment you become the bhakta, the Bhagavad-gita will be revealed to you. And how much the Bhagavad-gita is going to be revealed to you depends on how much of a devotee you are, how pure is your devotional service. That is why when people say that, what do you read? Well, just read the Bhagavad-gita. That is sufficient a book for you, for your whole life. And you go back and read the same book again and again, again and again. I used to wonder, why do the people read the Bhagavad-gita over? I'm done. 700 verses flat for 7 days, done. What is this going on? Why? Why do they have to read again and again? Because every time they go and read it again. They have evolved a little bit by the time in their devotional service, and then new meanings are revealed to them through the Bhagavad-gita. Why? Because Bhagavad-gita is Shabda Praman. It is evidence which is coming in the form of words flowing from the lotus mouth of Lord Krishna, right? And it has to reveal itself to you. You won't understand that. You won't understand all the essence of what is there in the Bhagavad-gita. You have to first get the necessary qualifications. If you don't get the necessary qualification, Bhagavad-gita is going to be as far away from you as the sun is there. Okay? And then when we read the Bhagavad-gita, Prabhupada also says that, read it with humility. Read it with the assumption that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do not doubt that. Do not doubt things because we are not able to experiment and find all that out. And Prabhupada gives that very famous example of, you call a man as your dad. What proof is that, this man is your dad? Mother, at least there's a proof, you came out of that body. But for dad, where is the proof? Just the words of the mother, that this is your father. Similarly, he says, consider the Vedas to be your mother. For them to be, telling whatever they say, your mother says, you believe, then you believe. Don't go out and say that I experiment something. And the sad part is that we believe so many things, right? For example, when you look at the sun, Prabhupada said that, the sun is there, and then with your eyes, you can only see a certain size of the sun, but it is much, much bigger than that. And so you have to read the books. So when you're reading the books, you are believing in whatever is being said there. But when it comes to Bhagavad-gita, we say, now give me the proof. Krishna has to prove it, prove it, prove it. This is envy of Krishna. We are envious of Krishna. We don't want to accept the fact that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we will come up with all these kinds of things that, oh, you have made one book as your manual of life. You're just relying on one book. The other day, Meera Mataji was trying to distribute books in her place in Modesto. And one lady came and said that, you are distributing books. I'm not going to take this book because this is paper and you have cut down trees to make this book. I'm not going to buy this. I'm not going to take it even for free, like that, right? And so I was talking to Meera Mataji, and I was just saying, so maybe we should ask that lady whether she stopped sending her kids to school because there are books in school also, and whether she stopped using paper towels and toilet paper, right? So it's just the envy of Krishna. Actually, Prabhupada says that trees are meant to be made into paper so that the Vedas can be written on them. Trees are givers, right? So nobody complains when we cut down a tree and make, useless furniture, extra furniture, and load our homes with that. But we make one Bhagavad Gita and ask you to take it. The envy comes up. Why? Because we are not friends of Krishna, friendly with Krishna, and we are not his devotees. But those who are devotees, they'll make space in their home for these books. They'll throw away something else and make space like that. So Arjuna has all the necessary qualifications being a devotee, so he will listen to this ancient science from many, many years ago, right? And then, Krishna is going to speak. And we have heard from so many other sources today that, we have to hear it from Krishna. And that way the disciplic succession is going to be maintained like that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop over here. Any points that you heard today and any questions that you have, we can take them for some time. Anything that you heard?
Very nice, Mataji. From you gave first chapter 146, where Arjuna is saying that I don't want to do it, and then again in 2.9 he's saying. So, Mataji, this was, you get to know that actually this is the way. This is reading scrutinizingly. So this is what I felt, that we miss out on these points and we don't understand. So this was thank you so much for explaining this. Then 7th canto, 5th chapter also you told. Oh, very nice, Mataji. And 4.3 then. And I missed the class. I'm sorry for joining late today. I don't know what happened to my mind, Mataji. Instead of 7:30, I joined at 8, thinking that the class is at 8 o'clock. I forget, Mataji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, yes.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
I really,
Krishna.
yeah. I really like the whole thinking behind having, the confidential knowledge, which can only be
Yeah.
passed on by a confidential, teacher to a student, and the student has to be a bhakta that believes in devotional service and Krishna. So it was very nice, and the different ways we learn, and that hearing the Sabda Praman is and the Shruti, and the absolute truth comes from there is very nice. So thank you for that.
Right. Yeah, and it's a heart-to-heart connection. A heart-to-heart connection has to be established first between the student and the teacher. If that connection is not there, if that pipe is not there between the two hearts, then information is not going to flow. It'll be choked and it'll be bottled up. And I've heard in one of the lectures, I think it was Chetan Charan Prabhu, he mentioned that, and he says that when people say, like to Prabhupada, right? They will say, Prabhupada, so you're talking about Krishna? Show me. Show me Krishna, right? We say that, we want evidence all the time, show me. And so he says that you believe in Krishna just as you believe in the sun, right? So now, when the sun is behind, we all know that we need the sun to see, right? All right. Okay, right.
Yeah.
Now, the day, then you can, in the morning, you can see the sun, right? And then if there are clouds in the sky, the sun is hidden. You can't see the sun, right? But can you see other things? Do you stop seeing other things just because the sun is behind the clouds? Or can you still see?
We can see the
Let
things.
me see.
We can see the things.
You can see the things, right? So this means that the sun is there, right? Because the first premise was I need the sun to see things, right? So if I'm seeing things, this means sun is there. Now, but I'm not able to see the sun, that's a different thing, right? So but you still believe that, okay, the sun must be there. That's why I'm able to see it. So he says that believe in Krishna just as you believe in the sun. You believe in the sun, not because you are seeing the sun, but because you are able to see because of the sun. Because the sun is able to show you things. Similarly, believe in Krishna, not because you can see Krishna, but because of Krishna's capability to make you see things as they are. To make you see that you are a soul, not the body, right? That is what he spent this whole 17 chapters in Bhagavad-gita explaining to Arjuna, right? And when Arjuna saw, right, that curtain was removed from his eyes and he said, Karishyami vachanam tava, karishye vachanam tava. I will do whatever you're asking to do. The same Arjuna who had said, Na yodsyami iti Govinda, I will not fight Govinda, and fell silent. Krishnam bhuvi bhava, fell silent. Sutapa Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, like the whole class, but the last, you mentioned a line like, you have to be humble to understand Bhagavad-gita. So that struck my mind today. Maybe you told many times, but I don't know. I did not have that kind of mood, honestly. But from now on, I'll keep that in my mind and I'll continue to do that. I follow the instruction.
Right. And on that light, the first thing is to realize that there's a problem. Most of us don't even realize. I never even realized that I was myself a big problem. I forgot about having problems. I was a problem to so many others, right? The first thing is to realize that there's a problem there, and then we can think about solving it, right? So first, the acceptance has to be there. So you're accepting it, right? And now the Shastras are going to come to your assistance, right? So you're saying, I'm not humble. I'm not humbly accepting whatever is being written in the Bhagavad-gita. So now you apply the science and see, okay, so what is it that is going on, right? You want to be a pure devotee, yes or no? So
yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So despite that, We are impelled to disbelieve in or question certain things, or not just, do it, right? So then we have to sit down and see, instead of feeling guilty, right? Too guilty and stopping. Guilt is good for bad things, but they should not stop you in the progress of devotional service, on your path of devotional service. So maybe you said one day the thought comes like, maybe there is no Krishna, right? Disbelief. Maybe there's no Krishna. Now apply your knowledge, right? This is my mind which generates thoughts. And if a thought is to be true, then it should be supported by three things: Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So let's go and see that, the Shastras that are saying, do the Shastras say that there is no Krishna? And are the Gurus saying that there is no Krishna? And are my Guru and are the other sadhus also saying the same thing? If they're not saying the same thing, then you'll say, oh, mine, this was your presentation. This was your idea. This is your thing. I'm going to just stabilize. So what we have to do is to continue to ignore the mind, right? Don't get overwhelmed. Don't let it conquer you. Don't let it put into, first the mind presents the thought to you, right? And makes you feel as if you are thinking it. The soul is doing it. Soul is not doing it, anything, right? The mind is doing all that, presenting it to you, and then you are feeling guilty. Why should you feel guilty? The mind produced that thought. Why are you feeling guilty, right? Because I think this is my mind. I am my mind. So that I am has to go away. And that removing of that I am is called humility, right? So humility means a lot of things. Humility just doesn't mean that we bow down our heads and talk properly to other things. Humility also means this, removing the I am from all the aspects of it. And having only one ego, and that is I am a servant of Lord Krishna. That is my identity, like that, right? So just keep that in mind, because the purpose of the mind is to deviate you from devotional service. Maya is going to do that. That's a test constantly putting you in front of you. Yeah. Good. Arani Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I just want to ask, when you said that there should be a connection, and then the words just, the meaning and the words just flow to the listener or the devotee. When you're talking about the connection, were you talking about the connection between the listener and Krishna, or the listener and the teacher who is delivering the words?
Yeah, it both. Krishna speaks to you through the speaker, right? Sometimes you go to, you're facing with something in life, right? And you go to a temple, or you tune to some Krishna internet radio or something like that, or you just you're surfing the web and you find a lecture by some devotee of Krishna. And or mostly I've heard people say that, when they come to a class at our temple here, and then they say, today's class was from me. What is it? The speaker didn't know that you were facing that problem. But remember, there's the super soul in both people's heart. There's super soul in your heart. There's super soul in the speaker's heart also. So you're a devotee and Krishna loves you. And if you are seeking for some information, Krishna as the super soul in the teacher's heart will inspire that teacher to speak on that topic on that day, right? And then you come and say, oh, the teacher spoke for me. Today's lecture was for me, completely for me, right? Like that. So that connection has to be there first with the teacher who's standing in front of you, because we can't see Krishna. And every time if we say that we are only going to get, I'm only going to get information from Krishna only, then it's not going to happen, right? Because Krishna is not going to come and talk to all of us. So he sends his representatives here so that we can talk to they can talk to us, and through them, we get to know Krishna, like that. So that heart-to-heart connection first has to come. There has to be a teacher. There has to be a guru. And if you don't have a guru, then pray for one. Krishna will give you. And if a person doesn't have a guru, then, it's a difficult task, but Krishna says that I will, I will guide them through their heart. Right? In the 10th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, he says like that. But for that guidance also to happen, we have to be open to listening. Our problem is that we want evidence for everything, right? When the voice is speaking, we won't even know whether Krishna is speaking or who is speaking, right? But if you have a teacher in front of you, the teacher is there, solid form in front of you, right? So then okay, this teacher is telling me, okay now, right? It's a constant thing is whenever there are doubts, pray to Krishna to help you remove the doubts, right? And I had given the example last time of if a person says, I'm going to listen only to Krishna, I want only Krishna to come and tell me. He told to Arjuna, why not? I'm also devotee, right, of Krishna. Then it is like, saying that I want to collect my mixie or grinder or blender directly to the powerhouse. But, between the powerhouse and us, there are electrical wires. And the guru is the electrical wire who carries that information to you and distributes it, to all the entire city or the town. Thank you, Sudapa Mataji.
Another point I really liked, Mataji, you said that when you give Bhagavad-gita to somebody or read ourselves, it is open, it is available everywhere, and we can buy it. But in the beginning years, even now, I should say, that I didn't understand anything. But you see, you have to be in the association of the people, those who are realized and can tell me one thing. And another thing, Mataji, you need to be a bhakta to understand. So that transformation when comes, then start understanding.
Right.
So that is also very important.
Right. Bhakta is very, very important. And because people can read Bhagavad Gita in a different light also, you can read it with a fault-finding mentality. Let me see where Krishna slipped.
Yes.
Let me see where he did. Whereas a bhakta, when he's reading the scriptures, will just sit and the bhakta will just say that Krishna is saying it, so it must be true. I don't have the intelligence to understand it. And Krishna gave me the intelligence to understand this thing, right? I mean, you remember in the story of Aghasura, the pastimes of Aghasura, they see this snake, right? Bad smell coming from his mouth. His upper lip is touching the sky, so big. And they are wondering that, is it a snake or is it a cave? Now, they were habitual of going to the caves and playing there, right? So, but they don't know whether this is that. And then they say, Krishna will take care of us. Let's go inside. That is, faith in Krishna. Krishna is there. Krishna is there. So when people read the Bhagavad Gita with faith, Krishna from inside the heart will also, is a Chet Guru. He will, and from outside through the form of a guru, and from inside your heart as the Chet Guru, he gives you information. Tesham evanukam partam aham agyanatam jamtama nashasham atma bhavosto jnanadipena bhashvata. Sitting in their hearts, I will destroy their darkness with the shining lamp of knowledge. Right? So he will do that. So that thing, that has to be there. Vinyavali Mataji, you have your hand raised. Aruni Mataji, are you okay? With the,
yeah, sorry, that was the last one.
The last hand? Okay.
Yes, Mataji, I feel all the time that ever since I had my initiation, I didn't go and see my guru directly. I stuck here in Philadelphia. I'm not going there. And I always feel before that I just saw him and I was there. I used to come to the temple, do the service and everything. And ever since I had my initiation, I'm here only. I didn't go. But I do hear his lectures and the YouTube and Fan the Spark and somewhere, I listen to those. But I feel, and again, I say, Krishna, what is your wish? I don't know. I look for a guru and I got a guru and I'm happy. But I'm not able to see him directly and I go and listen to him directly. But I'm listening like that. And then I said, okay, I'm going through all you devotees. And morning till evening, I'm having something or other, Bhagavatam class, Bhagavad-gita class. And I have so many classes I'm attending from morning 7:50 till now. I'm having classes. Something or other, I'm listening all day, chanting, along with my cooking and offering. And I'm doing that. So I said, okay, Krishna, your wish is this. What else I can ask for it?
A
So
very
I don't know
interesting,
how.
a very interesting lecture that Guru Maharaj gave recently on the occasion of appearance day of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. He gave that lecture in Vrindavan, and I have called it "To See or to Be Seen." To see or to be seen. So similarly, the Shishya also should have the same mood that what is my duty? To see the Guru or to be seen by the Guru? How are you going to be seen by the Guru? By doing something extraordinary, Guru will automatically recognize you. Now, you said that, since initiation, you have not seen your Guru. Two things. One is that our God Brother Rasayan Katha in India, he saw Guru Maharaj on the internet 2 or 3 years ago. He took his shelter and never met him in person, and he was initiated last year, right? All over the internet. So it is a heart-to-heart connection, and heart-to-heart connections cannot be stopped by mountains or rivers or seas, right? So that's one. So the fact that you have been initiated, and I can tell you, I said that that Krishna is the powerhouse and that knowledge, and then the instructions, and the Guru just carries those as through the electrical wire, and you touch that electrical wire, so you are, you get electricized or not electrocuted. So similarly here, your Guru initiated you. Now you tell me, after your initiation or before your initiation, when did you distribute more books?
After that only, I got that spirit and feeling.
So you see, even though you don't see your Guru, the mercy is still flowing. Why do you think you were able to distribute books? Suddenly something happened? You memorized chapter 12 of Bhagavad-gita and you were able to distribute book? No. It's the mercy of the Guru. Varshana Mataji, 10,000 miles away from here. Hundreds of Bhagavad-gita she distributes, after she got
I'm here, I'm this far, and I'm doing that. But still, I have that feeling, and I didn't see him.
That's what I'm saying. So when you have that feeling, now look around and see. When Prabhupada was going to leave his body, your Guru Maharaj was in America. He was not in Vrindavan. And why was in America? Because he said, my Guru Maharaj wants books to be distributed in America. He was doing that. And they say that the only thought that pleased Prabhupada at that time was when the book scores came. The books have been distributed. So like I was telling, when I was teaching about, this universe, etc., I was talking about physical distance, and then there is a conceptual distance between objects. So physically, we can be far away. For example, sometimes you will see that Prabhupada says that sun is, we say the moon is closer than the sun, and Prabhupada says that the sun is closer than the moon. How do we understand that, right? Science is telling us this. So then the question is, when we're talking about far and near, what kind of distance are you talking about? Are we talking about physical distance, or are we talking about conceptual distance? So physical distances, you can measure it. Get the best sophisticated equipment, and you might be able to measure the distance between Earth and Sun and Earth and Moon, right? However, conceptual distance is the amount of work that you need to do. So kriti that you have to gather to be able to understand, to be able to reach that planet. So conceptually, physically moon might be close, but to go to the moon planet is more difficult. You have to do more austerities, you have to go more. So that way it is very distant. So similarly, when it comes to Bhagavad-gita, the Bhagavad-gita is here on my table. How far is it? 2 feet. But if I don't touch it, if I don't have the sukriti to understand whatever it is, Bhagavad-gita is miles away, right? Somebody might not even have the Bhagavad-gita in front of them. They are listening to this lecture. They got at least one verse. Like that, right? So whether the Guru is close or whether the Guru is far is immaterial. The connection is already established. Sadhana Mataji, did you see a hand? Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to add that Srila Prabhupada only saw Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Swami 4 to 5 times in his whole life.
Yes.
Yeah, and he said that Guru Vani, the Vani Seva is eternal, which is listening to him and following his instructions is eternal. But actually serving the physical, the Vaku Seva is not eternal. Even if you do Seva with the bodily function, for a Guru, it's not eternal because they pass away one day, right? But Vani Seva, hearing and listening and carrying out their mission is eternal.
Absolutely.
That's what kept him going, right?
Right. And then with like Sadhana Mati was saying, that they go away, right? And so if you are a student who wanted the Guru to be there around you, then when the Guru leaves, you are gone, completely broken, because you only understood that connection, right? However, so does it mean that we should only have Mani association and not have Vapu or bodily association, like serving him, his body, or cooking for him, or like men give massages and things like that? That is also essential. And why is that essential? That is essential so that you get the rahasyam from your Guru, the rahasyam part, the one who's serving the Guru, cooking for him, massaging him, will be able to tell you the antics of the Guru, and this, he did that, because you were close to him, and the others will hear it and they will relish it, like that. So, yeah, so it is impossible for the Guru to give you Vapu association. So how many can he give, right? He'll be flying around the globe all the time, right? Disciples here, disciple there, right? And somebody might be listening to your Guru from other planets, and now they are like, he has to go there also. So don't let that thought, again, what I told to Sutapa Mataji also, it's just your thought. Your mind is telling you these things, right? To make you feel morose and give up. But don't give up. You're already doing these things, right? And you can always write to your Guru Maharaj. Pure bhakti, and bhakti is also there for the spiritual master. Pure bhakti means that you do something. So for your Guru, you have to do something. If I want my Guru next to me, I'm expecting my Guru has to do something for me. That's why I want him near me, right? He's far away, he's not able to do something. Smile at me, glance at me, teach me, hold my hands, put his hand on my head, like those kind of things, a disciple can want from the spiritual master. But no, bhakti is you do. Anya bhilashita shunyam. And so the practice, then we are saying pure devotional service to Krishna involves this. And the practice starts with the spiritual master who's, there in our lives. If we are able to behave like that with the spiritual master, we'll be able to behave like that with Krishna also. So it's a constant cheto darpanam arjanam. Constantly have to worship.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Namaste Mataji, were you raising your hand, or I was mistaken? I saw some other hand.
No, I was just saying that this is just beautiful. What you're teaching is just incredible. Thank you for teaching us.
Well, so teaching coming from the parampara, nothing added from me. I just read from the books. So I just collected them together for you and presented them.
Thank you.
Okay, but thank you for coming in. I'm just very happy that I see you very regular here in the class. And today, after some time, we are seeing Archana Mataji also on the call. It's very good. Okay, and Soni Mataji, Chitra as usual. Okay, any other things? We are 7:40.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
10:40.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha gopremanande hari hari bol.
Hari bol.
Pranam.
Haribol.